place where, you have apprentice or interns and such. So for new and up and coming coaches,
Yes.
what sort of tips and advice will you give them, and how for them to kind of find their way in that journey? What would you sort of tell and advise and everything?
So my advice, I've got a guy that I'm working with me in a minute who's just started working with me this year as voluntary at the academy. And my advice would really be go out there and learn what you can by putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And be yourself. Don't watch someone coach and copy exactly what they've done. Don't go online and just find 12 drills which look really cool and go and expect to do them. It's about being you. So keep your personality, because if you're honest with yourself and your personality and the way you coach, people will relate to the truth, and they will be more likely to respond well to you. I would say the biggest thing that helped me, and I said before, was just spending my money and doing stuff, going to coaching clinics, attending online calls now. I had to just put myself out there. I had to spend my own money on my own flights to go and coach Southwest England or whatever, right? The first trip I went to America to a camp over there, I think I spent well over £1,000 just to be there. Yeah. And just to be there and stay there and learn from these people. And now I find myself going every single year and getting paid to be there. And that's just because you just put yourself out there. The first camp I went to, they gave me accommodation. Brilliant. That's all I needed. Give me some accommodations and some food and I'll figure the rest out. And just learn from people. Learn from people that you don't think you would maybe normally meet or see, and listen to podcasts about rugby, listen to podcasts about cricket, whatever. Like, listen to coaches and find some relatable, transferable skills from other sports. And just indulge yourself in everything that you can do coaching wise. And don't think of anything as a bad idea. It's all trial and error, but it's just being about honest with what you're doing. Anyone can just pick up a manual, see a drill, and tell the guys to do it.
Yeah.
But can you find what you need to achieve and design your own drill in a game-based scenario? Can you do that? Can you pick up a bit of paper and design your own play? I used to love designing my own plays for my guys. To this day, I still use my own end line and my own sideline plays with my junior guys that I made up myself. But don't think that's just me going, wow, I'm genius. It's because I picked a little bit of information from this guy and I got a little bit of information from that guy and it works. But then I realized my guys don't need that, so I switched that for that. And you figure out what you want at the end of it, and then figure out your step ladder to get there. There's no point in saying I want to be a professional coach. That's it. You've got to have the small goal first.
Yeah.
And the goals have got to just keep building up and building up and building up. And eventually you'll get where you want to be, but you just have to invest in yourself. That's the main thing for me.
Even to a point, like, mention all that as well is similar, because I've recently started coaching, under 12s, under 14s, and 16s, and it's like, you have different talent and abilities that do come in, so you've got to kind of cater to all. And then it gets difficult at times, because then it's like,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Because it's like, there's some 14-year-olds that they can do so much, and there's so much you can work for them to improve them, and there's others who they're still trying to get their feet wet and find themselves as a player as well. So how dealing with sort of different skills and abilities as a new coach as well? So what would be the best thing you would do for those scenarios?
So if you're lucky enough to be in a position where you've got multiple coaches in a program and you can put guys in places based on ability, then lucky you. But that's not the reality of it, as you know. And that gap of talent doesn't change. Like, even when you get up to your top academies and your high school and your college basketball and pros and whatever, there's always a good guy and there's always a guy down the bottom end. And there's always that argument of, do I make my session based around my lowest ability? Do I make my session based around my highest ability? It's about trying to find the in-between ground, because even if I'm doing a basic dribbling drill for guys just to learn how to two-ball dribble or left hand or right hand with their heads up, the guy who's still at the top of the ladder can still be doing that drill.
Yeah.
But they need to be doing it to the complete best of their ability, and they need to be doing it 100%. Because you tend to find in groups that sometimes people will train a little bit lazier and lower their standard because they think they're above it. You know, at the same time, you don't want to make anything too complex where the young guys are going to struggle. I always say keep the drills really simple, because the drill is whatever. Like, keep the drill simple, but it's about how hard the guys go in the drill. And if you can find yourself drills which, you know, maybe the guy who's just there for fun and just wants to play basketball against the guy who wants to be a professional, is there drills that you can do where actually they don't affect each other? You know, game-based drills, game-based training sessions, where you can really then adapt what you do. So if I have a target for this guy, I want you to make 5 right-hand layups with the correct footwork. You drill for the next guy within the same drill, but the higher spec guy, okay, instead of doing the 5 right-hand layups with the correct footwork, you're going to do reverse layups. You're going to go to the left-hand side. You're going to do floaters. You're going to, you know, try and do it with one bounce from the 3-point line or whatever. And you just adapt it without kind of affecting anybody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, like stuff like that I think is really helpful. Also getting the older guys to help the younger guys, feeling them some sort of responsibility. You know, going back to Don Showalter, he showed us this drill, and it was dribbling opposite each other. I dribble towards you, you run to where I've gone from. So you just cross pass. Dribble, stop, reverse pivot, pass. Dribble, stop, reverse pivot, pass. And then you adapted that to different types of passing. You adapted it to forward pivot, reverse pivot. But it was so simple. And he was like, I do this. He said, you know, I do this with my under 17s USA team every training session. And it's so simple, but they have to do it at full speed and 100%. And if they can't do that, they're not ready to move on to anything else. You know, these are guys who go on to play in the NBA, and they're doing dribble, jump, stop, pivot at the beginning of their training sessions. You know, simple. It's just how you do it. It's how you implement how hard they work for it.
Yeah, exactly. So it just goes to show that simplicity is key. You know, you get the simple, the basic stuff, and from there is where you branch out.
Yeah. How many kids do you know in your sessions who walk on a court, grab a basketball, and chuck up a shot from the 3-point line, but they can't make a left-hand layup?
That is literally the story of my life.
You know, he picks it up, he goes to the halfway line, he's, wow, Kobe! And then you say, make a left-hand layup. He goes, ooh. You know, and it's about keeping them simple for them. But they've got to enjoy it as well. They've got to let them have their Kobe moments, whatever. Let them enjoy themselves, because if they don't enjoy it, they ain't going to carry on, and they're not going to give you 100%.
Exactly. That is true as well. That's why I do tend to, you know, give them leeway with some fun. Yeah, have your fun and such. And then, you know, also what I've recently started doing as well, I let them have their fun. And let's say, for example, they're doing one-on-ones and such. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you guys having your fun. And then I was like, you know, if you did have a strong left hand, you would have made that basket there. And he's like, and then from there, they're like, then after I'll see them, okay, I'm going to start making left-hand layups as a warm-up now. Next session, they're doing that before and they're going left. And it's like, it really is, you know, you've got to let them have their fun, because that's, as they enjoy it, that's when they start to really
No,
working.
exactly. And I started doing actually, I started doing it with Denzel. Funny enough, I know, I watched the episode of Denz, and we did 100-shot workout before we did anything. So we were doing loads of 7:30 in the morning stuff. It was last season in the summer. So we'll go into sports for 7:30 in the morning. We'll get 100, maybe 250 shots up before training starts. And we would literally stand under the basket to the right of it. 10, take a step back. 10, take a step back. 10. And we wouldn't go like any further than a 3 foot back. And you would just make 100 shots, and you would do it in the space of about 15 minutes. Junior kids can do it in probably 15, 20 minutes because you get really close to the basket. So I started doing that with my guys, and then I started finding actually they're coming into the sports hall, and instead of chucking up 3-point shots, they grab a ball and they go and take 100 shots before training starts. I'm thinking, yeah, now we're talking, because now they're getting confidence. They're only 2 foot away from the hoop, but it's going in. And that feeling of making 100 baskets in 15, 20 minutes, they're so chuffed with themselves, and they keep doing it. And they're working on their form shooting iron, they're working on their hand-eye coordination, and I've done nothing really other than just say, look, try and make a few shots before you start. And they realize they can do it in such a short period of time. They love it.
Yeah, true as well. And it's so important to also build that confidence within your players as well. I feel like as a coach, when you're a coach, you're not just a coach. You're also a advisor, motivator, to a point, psychologist at some point. Like, you do really have to. It's such a big role. Like, that's what some people think. You just go, you coach, you do this, but there's so much to it.
The best coaches are always going to be approachable. They're always going to be having conversations with kids and parents, and sometimes about completely random things. And it's not just turning up and blowing a whistle and shouting at some kids or whatever and going home again. During lockdowns probably tested us all as coaches. I remember when we were allowed to meet up with people outside the household for the first time. I went to like Tesco's cafe with one of my academy players. Just sat down, had a bite to eat, had a coffee, and we were just talking about sort of life, because we've both been locked away, and he really needed someone just to chat to and rant with, and he broke up with his girlfriend, or he did this, or and you just got to chat to them. But actually just having that conversation and having that interaction, I tell you what, the next day at training with him, he's going to give you his best because he knows you care. And that's what we went back to begin with. It's more than just coaching, like 100%. If you get a chance, I think there's a podcast called The Talent Equation.
Yeah.
Really good podcast. And there was a guy who talks about Greg Popovich from the Spurs.
Yeah.
And he talked about how he was more than just a coach. What things that he did outside of the court, which made his players just want to play for him. So that stuff, doing your research and things like that, just learning different people's stories, that will help anybody.
Yeah, that's true. It's very important to actually show, to the guys that you're coaching that, yeah, I'm your coach, but I do also care about your well-being and life, because that your mental and how you are is very important, because that also does show in every other things. If you are frustrated, I'd rather that you'd speak to me about your frustration. We actually have a conversation about it, so that then on the call is like a relief, because sometimes the basketball is like is a nice escape also for people as well.
So, very much so.
Yeah,
very much so. And you're going to get a kid that you need to motivate and encourage and give them a bit of an aggressive tone when you talk to them at training. And you're going to need another kid that you sit down, you put your arm around, and you say, look, it's okay. Don't worry about it, and you've got to be adaptable to those situations.
Yeah, exactly so. So just also to kind of on the last section. So obviously there's a lot of controversy with, basketball in the UK. And you know, when I first started, you know, really paying attention to basketball, you know, yeah, NBA is all there, EuroLeague and such. It was all great. Like, yeah, that's there. But then I was like, I really want to. I know there's a basketball culture here.
Massive.
So
Yeah.
let me really expand and dive deep into that and
Yeah.
really explore it. And I was just seeing so much, like there's just so much that I didn't actually know before that I'm seeing,
Yeah.
and it's like we really do have something here.
It's massive. Yeah.
That's
It's. I think I think a lot of people are guilty of it, and there's no problem with it because you only follow and talk about what you can see, right? So if you can't see it, there's nothing to talk about, right? And there's a naivety of NBA done, right? So I'm part. My friend runs a group called I think it's called Off the Backboard UK on Facebook, and this was actually only the other day that someone put a post in there about, oh, is anyone watching the London Lions game or something like that? And I don't tend to get involved in these things, but there was a few comments and I had a look at it. And one of them said, oh, British basketball's rubbish, you know, and this is a British guy. British basketball's rubbish. You know, there's high school teams in America which we've blown these guys out by 50. And I looked at this comment and I'm just like, and I got involved and I couldn't help myself. And I'm like, you are absolutely losing the plot. Like, if you think there's a high school team of 16, 17-year-old lads who are going to come and beat a professional team by 50, you are losing the plot, my friend. And, you know, he said, yeah, but I've seen college team play and they're so good. And I'm like, you have no idea, do you? You really have no idea that the level of players that we have here. Like, you really don't. Like, open your eyes, because you just all you've got to do is look around the amount of Brits playing overseas, the amount of talent in the BBL this year. You know, you've got NBA guys, you've got draft workout guys, you've got G League guys, you've got high-end Division I players, you know, and most importantly, you've got great British national team talent. You know, we are really lucky in Plymouth where we've got really good British core of players, and there's a lot of other guys around. But there's so much basketball to watch. And the best thing about lockdown for me is the amount of people that are talking about it now.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
So many social media platforms, so many Zoom calls, podcasts, you name it. It is out there and people are talking about it. And it's very entertaining. You know, there needs to be more. And I think the wheels are in motion. You know, the Sky Sports deal coming up.
Yeah.
You know, each team at the minute's doing their own kind of game experience. You know, I'm in a different bubble at the minute with the BBL stuff, so I'm not at practice with the BBL team because we just got to be smart of how many people we have involved, and we want to keep everyone in their bubble. So I'm running commentary for game days. You know, everyone's just chipping in. I'm doing video edits for social media. I'm doing commentary. I'm doing coaching. I'm whatever. Everyone's just getting involved, and there's so many people doing that. You know, I watched the Surrey game last night. Young lad Tom Bonnet. He's got a bit of a following now on social media because he's just done it the right way. And you know, there's so many kids and so many adults and whatever just getting involved, and just it's great. It's really good. But putting it on Sky Sports as a platform is now going to go because now you're opening up basketball to the people who don't just like basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the key now, is bringing those extra people in to watch it. The ones who wouldn't normally do it. The ones who channel hop and just want to see some sport. That's what you want now.
Yeah, even on that point, with expanding with the Sky Sports deal and such as well, which is why it's like it was sort of like for it to be implemented even into the platform I started, is just, you know, bringing that extra crowd, you know, having someone who is, you know, a type of, you know, influencer or something on social media now, interacting with the different team levels and, you know, going there. And even if it's, you know, going to a training session, see how they train and, you know, going to a game and, you know, talking to the players, having, even doing fun challenges such with the players, it's like you now see a whole another side, and it's like, wow, these guys are real big characters. I like this. Let me tune in. So it was like really, you know, obviously, unfortunately, with, you know, COVID and lockdown and such, it's been like tough. You know, you can't really just waltz into a session. Obviously, you can't plan everything now. There's all restrictions. But obviously, moving on after that, once, you know, everything is sort of on a path where we can actually go and see things, it was one thing to really do as well, just to show the character of British basketball.
I think the one thing about British basketball, where it is right now, it's in a really good period where it's growing, but it's not yet reached its full potential.
Yeah.
Sorry. And everyone is really approachable. And people don't realize that. You can message some of the best players in Great Britain and they're going to reply to you.
Yeah.
You can message coaches and they're going to reply to you because everyone's at home, right? And everyone is really approachable. You know, you look at Sky Sports right now, they just got the team together with Mike Tuck, Drew Lasker, Kieran Achara, and you can message those guys and they're on TV. They're going to be on Sky Sports. So if you're a young player and you're watching Sky and you're seeing Drew Lasker on TV and he's playing and he's commentating and you send him a message and he replies to you, wow. Like, you tell me a sport where you get that on a regular basis. Like, you really don't. And British basketball has that about it. So take advantage of that. Anyone who's listening, like, take advantage of, I'm not saying hound people with stupid questions or, you know, turn into a complete crazy fanboy or anything like that. Talk to people because people will answer back, you know, and that's what's great about our sport. You know, even in America, you know, when I met a few coaches over there who I thought were celebs, you know, in my eye, because they coach at a really high-end D1 program and things like that. And then all of a sudden I just send them a message and say, hey, how are you doing? You know, can you give me some advice on this? They message back because they just care. Like, it's more approachable than people realize. And I think that's going to be a big driving force to how the sport grows.
Yeah, it's really true, because even me, like, at first I was just thinking, I don't know how I'm going to end up speaking to these guys. Maybe I have to, you know, go to the games, just kind of jump in and say, hey, can I, you know, sort of thing. And then, you know, I started messaging people and it was like, you know, they're responding and replying. And it's so good as well, because, you know, I'm able to get in contact. Like, you know, I got to send a message to you, reply and everything. And it's like, it's so good as well, because not only from a point where, you know, to actually broadcast it and put it out there, but even just getting advice and, you know, and talking to someone, you know, oh, I'm currently experiencing this and such, you know, what could you say about this? And I feel like it's very good to, you know, have that as well.
Yeah. I think it's massively important. Like, you'll meet people along the way which you admire and you'll have a look at some of the stuff they do. Like, I put together my YouTube channel purely because I just wanted to show people in the UK the stuff I experienced when I went overseas. And then I started doing like some video diaries, and then I started doing some drills on there. And all of a sudden, I've got videos now with like 60, 70,000 views on it. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, what just happened? And I was going to different places in different countries, and people were saying, oh, I saw your stuff on YouTube. And I'm like, mate, I'm just a lad from Plymouth who just wanted to enjoy basketball. And then all of a sudden this is happening. And it's so important to get involved and talk to people and share stuff. Like, the more people share, the more people will get involved. The more you put it behind closed doors, then it's just going to be no good for anybody. It has to be interactive. Like, when you are trying to grow something, it has to be out there for people to see, you know, and being approachable and ambassadors. Everyone's got to be an ambassador in a way, because even like if you're a new coach, you're an ambassador for the kids that you're coaching.
Yeah.
If you're at the top of the game, you're an ambassador for people who are trying to get to the top of their game. You know, so you've just got to share and be relatable to everyone. And I think British basketball does that.
Yeah, everything is growing. Is there anything you think is there that we could possibly do more, or is it just expanding on what we're doing currently in terms of really expanding British basketball?
I think just a bit of continuity between clubs. I watch back a Raiders game on TV. You got a certain camera angle, you got certain graphics. I watch a Surrey game, you got different camera angle, different graphics. I watch a London game again, you got something different. Where if I go on TV and watch football, you've got continuity between everything.
Yeah.
And I think having a bit of continuity in our media will be important. But I think Sky Sports will bring that. Yeah, I think Sky Sports will bring that sort of stuff, and it's then trying to make it as appealing as possible. I think keep bringing up young British players, makes it more relatable, but at the same time keep bringing in guys that get likes, guys that get social media hits, guys like London have done this year. We're bringing in DeAndre Liggins. All of a sudden everyone's talking about this guy who's played in the NBA with LeBron James. So you need to bring in those guys. But keep bringing in young British talent and nurturing it. Keep being approachable, but just try and have a platform where there's some form of consistency. Yeah, with social media, with podcasts, with TV, just some form of consistency. Everyone's still getting their bit and everyone's still doing their thing. But when you turn on the TV and something pops up, that's basketball. Yeah. You know that with football. The brand of the Premier League, we need the brand of the BBL. I don't want to be in a day where I'm explaining to people, I coach Plymouth Raiders, and they go, what's Plymouth Raiders? No. There needs to be a brand and some familiarity with everything that we do.
Yeah, true. Just even as well, rounding up, just a question: do you think that how players of for example, in America, how players of different sports do sort of interact with each other and such as well?
Yeah.
Do you think it would be good if Premier League players as well and such and even Coca-Cola and Championship players to cross over, interact, and even show that support as well to?
Yeah, I think so. I think teams have done it in the past. If we look back to Mersey Tigers back in the day in the BBL, there was a crossover with the football team.
Yeah,
it wasn't visible, but financially it helped. Leicester Riders have had a relationship with Leicester City. And they go to the stadium and they walk around and everything like that. We've done it before with our local team, Plymouth Argyle. And actually, players and the coach used to come to watch our games. And that drew in other people because they're talking about it. Mm-hmm. I think you have to. But it's about, trying to understand it on the business side of things, because football teams especially aren't going to do anything which makes no financial sense to them, are they? Mm-hmm. Because they don't need to grow their sport anymore.
Yeah.
They'll only do it if there's a relationship or there's a need to do it. The big guys helping the little guys, that would be great. But I think small baby steps. Yeah. Sharing tickets to games with players. Imagine if you watch an NBA game in London, right? And you've got professional football players sat front row.
Yeah.
But they've never seen a BBL game before. So maybe getting those sort of people involved in BBL games, getting them courtside. Yeah. And then once you get them there, show it off. Yeah. Tell the world that they're there. Get people coming in. Like, look at Ovi Soko when he came in, right? I've never seen anything like it at Plymouth Pavilions before in my life. Queues of teenage girls around the whole arena wanting a picture with Ovi Soko, who've never been to a basketball game in their life. And even if we retain 10% of those fans that have never been before. That's a bonus. You know, maybe they go there and they go, oh, I came to look at this guy, but I've actually really enjoyed it. So things like that help. It's just trying to do it on a business sense, which and then players will become like, we won't need to do that eventually.
Yeah.
You know, people will just come. But I think at the minute you have to just interact with sports teams and Olympians and football players and whatever, and just show people how good it is. Once you show people how good it is, like, they will come back. And that's down to the clubs having a really good game day, having a really organized program, having the TV looking good. Because if you invite someone and it's rubbish, they ain't coming back. You need the product to be phenomenal. And I think we are working towards that.
Yeah, that's true. So as we just round up with everything as well, is there anything you sort of want to, not sort of a farewell, but any sort of message you want to relay across, and also just for people, anything to follow and just to put out there and promote?
You know what? I would just say promote the sport as much as you can. Like, watch everybody's games. Get on Twitter, social media, retweet some stuff, talk about stuff. Share your opinions. If people want to come and watch my YouTube channel and watch some of the interviews I've done with other coaches, be my guest. Because anything helps. Everything helps share what we're trying to achieve as a whole. Regarding coaching, just be you. Just be you and invest in yourself. If you don't invest in yourself, you can't expect to go far.
True.
You know, if you don't put the time in, at some point it's just going to dry up. So you really got to invest in yourself and keep trying to improve and learn from other people. I think the best coaches are still learning. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are, you're still learning. So that would be my sort of parting advice for any coaches watching it. No one's the final product. Just keep pushing it, keep investing in yourself, and enjoy the ride while it lasts. The best thing that I'd done was put my phone in my pocket, attach a microphone to it, clip the microphone on my shirt, put a camera up in the training session, and just film it. And listen back to yourself, mic'd up. And don't just do it once. You've got to do it plenty of times so you don't just put on a show for the microphone.
Yeah, exactly.
Timeouts, games, training sessions, mic yourself up and watch yourself, because you'll be amazed at how many times you go, what the hell am I on about? Like, what am I saying? And then occasionally you go, hey, that was really good. You could write that in a quote, like, and that was huge for me. I literally just stuck a microphone in my phone, bought it off Amazon for a few quid. Probably one of the best coaching tools that I've ever bought. Yeah, I would do that. That would be my advice for sure. Like, yeah, I've got one on YouTube. I put it on YouTube. It took me a while to sort of get the balls to do that, to be fair, where I just put an unedited training session with a microphone on YouTube and said, right, come on, people, come at me. And then you get people messaging you and they're saying, I didn't like what you did there, or they do like what you do, and you change it and you try and explain yourself or whatever, and just be vulnerable to it. That's an interesting experience.